Mm-mm.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi, welcome. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Today's January the 4th, 2019, and our topic is letting ourselves start the new year slowly. Thank you, Rick, for providing this platform for us.
I'm delighted.
I'm Jean, and I'm here with Simone. Hi, Simone.
Hi, Jean and everybody.
Hello, everybody. Well, you started talking about, you can start talking about what you found out about New Year's and how different dates and how it's not just all one New Year's started it.
Yeah, so I read an article on, I think, New Year's Day about New Year being one of those few traditions that are celebrated more or less worldwide, but that don't has a religious background. So the dates have changed over time, and also the customs, what people actually do for New Year's, is different. So the Greeks, they did have a different calendar for every city-state. So they had their own New Year's, and then I think they started celebrating New Year's September 1st, which I find perfect because that was what I did this last year. I had a New Year's party on September 1st because that suits me much better than December 31st. So, and then the Romans, they started with the spring. So they had their New Year's at March 1st. And they only actually counted the month from March until December. So January and February didn't even have names. It was just, this dark time, and then they started with March. So that's why December is actually called December. I mean, it's the 12th month, but, well, I don't know my Latin, but it's like in the Roman languages, you have it's like 10, and November 9. So I found that interesting. And yeah, so I also, I think the reason we ended up with December was because there were some other traditions that were celebrated in December, and it just, yeah, traditions were conflated, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So but for me, it was a fun read because, as I said, December 31st isn't a good, or January is not a good time for me to start to have this feeling of starting afresh and having a lot of new energy.
Yeah, I get that.
I feel the same way. I used to think I have to start, promise myself I'm gonna eat right, and go on a diet January 1st. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to say what my heart wants to do. And I
Yeah,
also feel like you do. Spring to me is more of an energetic time where I can feel like going out and walking more. I'm not going to go out and walk on the ice. And I don't like treadmills.
No?
Not at all.
Yeah, back when I was a rat, I didn't like those rat wheels either.
Good place to hang clothes on.
yeah. No, but I just felt this topic is quite a good topic for me because, and maybe for some, I mean, Jean, you felt the same way, that, I mean, culturally we are in this phase where we think now is the time for a new start, and we have these New Year's resolutions, and our mind gets really, I don't know. I mean, it can get triggered, it can also get activated, and we want a lot of stuff. We want things, we want changes, we want to do things, and my body is just wants to hibernate. It doesn't want to do anything but, reading a book and drinking tea. So I just feel that whenever we want to start new things or incorporate new habits or set big goals, that it's much easier to keep those resolutions or intentions if we do it when our body is actually also in on it, when we have the energy for it. So there's a Swedish expression that things run out in the sand, and that it's like fizzling out. So people start January 1st and or first week, and they start to go to the gym, and and first week they go 5 times, and second week 3 times, and third week
they think about
time,
going,
and then they don't go anymore.
By the 4th week, they realize they've signed a year contract, and they're not.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I get that, because I don't think, at least here where I live, it's so dark during winter that it's really, most people just want to sleep, and of course we can't do that. But
so can I reflect for a moment?
Sure.
Our invitation today was start the new year slowly, and what I'm hearing, what I connected the dots with, like in one of the calendars, this first period of even like January, what we now call January and February, was not even really named. Is that right?
Yeah, the Romans didn't.
And so there's this invitation to acknowledge that your body may not be in that really vigorous spring has sprung kind of energy. And of course, we have people that cover all different, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. Yes. The seasons are somewhat different. But the invitation is to honor the body rhythm and start, but also to start something. Or is that what you're feeling? That there is opportunity to start something?
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
Sweet.
It's good to start a diet, but we don't have to give up everything and cram it all in the first month. We can start slow. We can choose some things that we could let go of, that we don't want to be eating, like maybe too many carbs, and we can start slowly. And maybe eat a few more salad, or make some nice comforting in the East Coast here where we are, where it's winter. We can start putting in more vegetables in soup, or eating more vegetables. We don't have to throw out all the carbs. We can just start slow.
Yes, and in the name of honesty, I got really triggered by just having the word diet mentioned, because I felt one of the big reliefs for me in my first years in Thriving Now was actually that I let that go. And that doesn't mean that I don't want to eat healthier or incorporate more good stuff in my food. It's not that, but I just feel that for me it's been such a relief to be able to let go of like societal expectations and to actually listen to my body. And I know that what Jean also is talking about, but we have different triggers here. So I feel starting the new year slowly is yeah, we can start something new if we want, and we can start slowly, but we can also just not start anything and just be
Mm-hmm.
and listen into our bodies what we need.
So we have a new chat system. For those of you that are on, there should be something that's you click on that says chat in a window or something should. And I've already just posted. Like for me, the start slowly in an aspect of my life is I've been practicing music, and I'm going to tap here. And as my weekly instructor says, we've been touching on a lot of different things, like putting energy into, because structure for me is something that I like improvisation. So for me, I know I can sense like I'm attuned to something that feels a little more structural and rhythmic is useful next. And so I asked him to help me come up with something that can be done in a little 7-minute segment, but that has a structure like do this, do this, do this, do this. And that'll be our week, something that's a little mini structure. Because again, structure, if I tried to, for me, structure and diet are like,
Yeah.
Like start your day always at this time, do this and do it. No, that's not the way I work any more than diet, like a real big structural change for diet. So yeah, I'd love to hear in the chat if people want to share. Also, what's something that if you take the pressure on making it big and fast and we're going to go for it. But it's something that over this 2-month period that you'd like to be supported in. Something even that you might want to check in with us about as the weeks go by, something, if there is anything that's alive for you. Yeah. Go for it, Jean.
I'm glad you brought all this up. You're making this topic even more interesting than we did.
It's all co-creation.
Yeah. I'm thinking like, what do we want to do? What excites us? What speaks to our artistry?
Yeah. And then the invitation that I hear and feel is like, this is your chance. New Year's, it's that resolution kind of energy. And for me, emotional freedom says, yeah, if that's where you are, you want to put a lot of oomph behind it, great. But I want something that, like, if I tune into that, then that's the peak. It's like the dietary change. If I call it a diet, forget it.
Yeah,
but like you mentioned, Jean, that's one of the things that I did. Like in wintertime, fresh vegetables and I need it to be cooked. Like my body needs it to be cooked. And so what I started doing was thinking more in terms of what's the vegetable base for my soups, and then add some meat, rather than thinking of it as what's the meat, and I might add a few vegetables. And that definitely has changed the energy in a soft way. And it's something that I can tend to and pay attention to and feel more free in.
Well, usually on New Year's you read in the magazines, diet, 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 exercise, exercise. And what we're trying to do is get away from that. And what we're talking about now. Not following the masses, doing what we feel, what our bodies want.
And Marilinda put in, and you're welcome to raise your hand, Marilinda, if you want to talk about this too. I found myself decluttering, and I've never done that before. And for her, the trick was that it's never more than 27 items a day for 9 consecutive days. Like that segmenting is, yeah. And Cindy Wright, starting slow right now for me means putting less pressure on myself and allowing more hibernation. Ah, I love that.
Yeah, I like that.
We have a winner. Yeah. What if all the magazines were inviting us to cozy up and hibernate and cuddle more and like, oh.
Yeah. I also feel like, I mean, there are times when I do feel that I can put more energy behind something, that I have a resolution, or that something that I want to change, and yeah, I always, there's this almost cliche that, well, there's no right moment to start. Please just go ahead and start. And for me, that I get the thought behind it, but it doesn't really feel true to me, because there is a difference in starting with a lot of energy or in starting like when we don't have that energy. And I can feel the difference in my body is like if something is really grounded within me and it feels like my spine is solid. And otherwise, when I feel like I have this wish, I have this intention, but it's not really anchored, grounded within me, I don't feel this straight back. It's more like words or thoughts, but the energy isn't really there. And of course, I can still think, yeah, well, I should go ahead, or I must go ahead, and I can start something, but then I get into that fizzling out state really quickly. And if I start when I feel that something is actually really grounded within me, and I feel the solidness, the energy behind it is so different. And if I have that, I might still have phases when I get off track, but it's easier to find back to it, because it was something that is anchored somehow within me.
That's a really good word, that sense of being anchored with something that's ripe.
Yeah.
Do you have a place for you personally, like where in your body how do you censor, how do your sensors tell you that something is anchored?
It's really like, it does really feel like it's my spine. It's like either I'm just a heap, you know, like a sack of potatoes, or I actually have a spine and can straighten up.
I know that feeling. I like what Beth said. I like the word curious for this year. There is resistance here for me on diet too. So I'm going to go to 2 farms near me and get fresh eggs at one and the best apples ever at the other. Like using curiosity to find some sort of motivation. In this case, inspiration and salivation.
Inspiration and salivation.
I like that.
Yes.
Thank you. And Maya said starting slow last week meant not rushing to get back to work, although financially I should because I'm freelance, but giving myself that time meant I started doing my bookkeeping and it felt good. Because I've been procrastinating about it. We have a couple hands raised, so you guys let me know when you'd like to. Marilinda was first, I think, and then Beth.
Yeah.
Would you like?
Yeah, let's do Marilinda. She was first.
Oh, I think I muted her. Yeah. There we go.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
I'd like to add to what you said, Simone. It's I totally agree. I think it's also about joy. Like as kids, we do things just the way we want them, and all the curiosity, it's all in there. And then comes in the should, and it even ties in with what Maya said, because sometimes I find myself, I'm in the mood to do something, but it feels like I should do something else. But if I went with my mood, I'd do the bookkeeping then, and then you do the other, and then it's if you let go of the shoulds and start following your body, you find it kind of moves you where you need to go anyway.
Yeah.
You don't have that feeling you're used to. It's like whipping yourself to do the next thing. It's more of a gliding.
Yeah, I get what you say, and I feel that one of my big processes is trusting that process, that feeling. And I get that with some things. So like cleaning at home, I'm more relaxed now than I was before, because I know I will get to that point when it gets easy. Doesn't matter if it's today or in 3 days or in a week.
Yes.
But when it comes to other things like my dissertation, I really feel like, so I feel that should. So, but I'm trying to yeah, exactly, get into that flow that you're describing, and having that faith that actually is the most efficient, but also the most joyful way to do things.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like Maya said, if she's doing her bookkeeping now, she's going to have to do that anyway. So if she does it when she's drawn to it, it's going to be out of the way when she's in the mood to do the freelancing.
Yeah.
And it's, and like dissertation, I know that a lot from when you sit down to write. It's like, if you do it in small little bits and you do the bit that you enjoy, instead of forcing yourself to do the big bit that you don't want to do right now.
Yeah.
You find that there's a lot done while you are actually having a good time. It just feels odd.
Just feels odd, yes.
We would never do anything odd, like tuning ourselves.
Odd. It's not
feeling that being honest about our resistance and our should fizzles. Yeah, I'm gonna should fizzle. Oh my gosh.
Good word.
Let's bring Beth in here. Hi, Beth.
Hello. Bring me in on a should fizzle. I don't know what that is for you, but what it was for me, in the weaving of this connection today, I saw the topic last week, and I've really been acclimating to it. And then what I need help with is that I did something I didn't expect, and I managed it well. And in an appropriate way, I sort of told somebody off. I just said, listen, this happened to me at this place. You keep going there, and I just wanted you to know it hurts me. Now, this person wasn't able to receive it, but I was like, why did I just, and it was good for our family, but the short is that I didn't expect myself, like I wasn't prepared for myself to be okay with me in a new space. So you do things slowly, then all of a sudden I'm getting things done, or I'm saying things and I'm lifting myself out of, like where someone's decluttering and doing organize. I'm decluttering relationships.
Ah.
And I went, whoo, huh, he, okay. And it was a hot mess in a good way, and but it did its job, and I freaked myself out a little. I can't even, it's like I need to touch and breathe, because it was so powerful in eliminating, and it wasn't a great comment, but it was like a good fart. You know? And the person was like, they didn't move from it, but they're like, oh, the next time I go here, she's going to say something. And whether I will or not, I needed presence with you all. It's just like, or what is your experience on that, where you just, all of a sudden, you're starting to manage the problem a little more widely and completely. And even though you're going slowly, all of a sudden, whoa, that was fast.
Well, it can feel like, I mean, I'm jumping in here, feel free, anyone else too. It really impacts me to hear this because it's one of the things that I believe you can be faster with the relationships, but only in the I am done with you, goodbye. But then, of course, there's all this slow downstream of even something that on the face of it looks like a really clean cut. The slowness with a relationship on the upswing or the recalibration, the decluttering, to me, that kind of mindful pacing where things are coming up and things are coming up, and that's where that New Year's energy is like, no, we got to push all this energy through right now, make it happen, and it's going to all be great this year. And that's, that kind of intensity just, I don't know anyone that maintains that all the time without, meth until they crater. I mean, that's a different kind of, should fizzle versus crater. I don't want either. And in relationships, that kind of slow, and it's profound. It's like a craniosacral body work where it's really slow and present. You're bringing up. That's another thing that I want. I wanted Jean and Simone to address too. Is this idea of slow and present? Like hibernation can be like just being flaccid, but there can be like a real deepening of presence in that. I was wondering if that's something that you think applies to this dynamic.
Definitely. What about you, Simone?
Yes, and I feel like hibernation sounds, as Rick said, I mean, it sounds so passive, but I think there's a lot of processing going on and preparation probably for a new time of growth or of action or whatever we want. And so I don't think it's as passive as it might sound. And also with slow changes, sometimes we might not realize until after it happened that actually something has changed. I thought about Beth, and maybe you telling that person was a bit unexpected for you, but you've been preparing for it for a long time. But when it suddenly happened, it felt like very, very sudden.
The shock of I did it. I'm not saying I did anything, but I spoke up. I spoke. I don't even spoke up. I spoke. And that the quality of that and the stepping up was really life-giving. It was almost birthing to me, in that there was nothing left for us to try to make work. And that person didn't catch it at all, and I'm not writing them off. They're still going to be a part of our lives, but it's just a matter of placing the emphasis on the right syllable. And this time it's syllable.
Yeah.
And even though that was so simple, the preparation was immense, and I'm still awkward about it, but as I sit with you all in the space of it, I can see it was more profound than I realized. And I'm wondering if there's ever a time that we can pre-pave that or do some tapping sometime on, oh, I just did that and I didn't realize that I was ready, and wow, I am coming about. This is really moving. But I don't know where I am with it today, but it's just another idea to put in the circle.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It's about acknowledging also. I mean, that is that acknowledgement and even celebration that actually something shifted.
Really did.
I think that's important, and I think sometimes it becomes real when we actually share it and when we talk about it.
And live differently from it, right?
Yes, that's.
It also doesn't it also? Oh, go ahead, Marilinda.
What you said that you might like to tap on this, I would love to, because it's been a huge thing in my life too, that I've acted differently in interactions, and it's just me showing up differently has changed the dynamic so much. Like, I couldn't believe it, that it just took a few words for me to change everything. And that I just haven't opened my mouth when something bothered me. And when I do, it has a huge impact on everything. And I'd love to tap on that, because it seems to be more global for people who, I mean, I just started with the tapping, but the impact is immense. Yeah.
That would be nice.
Simone, do you want to lead Marilinda and
Beth?
Beth?
Yeah. Yes. I'm trying to tune into the. So please feel free to change my words or change the direction of it, because I'm not. I think I've gotten it, but I'm not sure how. So karate chop. Even though sometimes changes seem to be so slow to come.
Even though change sometimes seems so slow to come.
And that's so difficult to accept.
And that's hard to accept.
I'm giving myself time.
I'm giving myself time.
And I'm open for the unexpected.
And I'm open for the unexpected.
Even though the unexpected sometimes takes a time.
Even though the unexpected sometimes takes time.
Might suddenly happen.
It might suddenly happen.
And I'm open for that to happen more often in the future.
I'm open to that continuing to happen. I would even go somewhere. I trust that by just tapping and being in the moment, so much change is happening, and I can trust it to unfold outside when it's the right moment. Does that work for you?
Yeah, even though change sometimes seems to be slow.
Even though change sometimes seems to be slow.
I'm trusting the process.
I'm trusting the process.
I'm doing my tapping.
I'm doing my tapping.
And I'm curious how things will unfold.
And I'm very curious how things will unfold.
Eyebrow. Change can be so slow.
Change can seem so slow.
Side of the eye. And suddenly it happens.
And suddenly it happens.
And then I'm on a plateau again.
And then I'm on a plateau again.
Under the nose. And I get so frustrated.
And I get a little frustrated.
Chin. Sometimes it feels like I'm calm on the surface, but I'm really working hard inside.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like I'm calm on the surface, but there's so much going on the inside.
And I'm doing my best, and change seems slow.
I'm doing my best, and change seems slow.
Under the arm. But I'm trusting
But I'm trusting
that things are unfolding
that things are unfolding
in unexpected ways.
in unexpected ways.
Top of the head. And change is happening all the time,
Change is happening all the time,
even though I don't always see the manifestation of it immediately.
even though I don't always see the manifestation of it immediately.
Take a breath. I don't know if I was right on with that. I was just trying to feel into myself in my own process and this tension between trusting that things are unfolding and that things are actually happening in the background, and my frustration that I often find they aren't happening fast enough.
I think it was perfect for all of us.
Okay, well,
It felt
thank
good.
you.
Yeah. I love that I was changing just a few words here and there to like Marilinda was for me, as I muted myself so I could tap along and speak and see what came out as well. And that's one of the things I like about the invitation attitude that we have, is that and I really appreciate what you modeled there, that you were tuning into yourself as well as what has been shared, and that we adjust and explore that. I did for Beth, Cindy, Maya, if you want to unmute yourself, you are capable of doing that. It should be on your screen if you'd like to add something. You don't have to turn on your video. Beth, go ahead.
I am so delighted in what you two just did. You read everything, and I'm so grateful. That's what I needed. Thank you. All the way to Switzerland and wherever Marilinda is, and yet you're right here with me in Pittsburgh, and I'm grateful. I took my breath away. I couldn't speak, so I'm glad you took over, you two. It was shocking what I laid down and the fact that I'm okay and moving on. There's lots to get done, so I feel like my feet are in quicksand and my shoes are made of cement, but that's okay. That's so much more free than where I've been, believe it or not, and to have that precision, it was like a good doctor. That was surgery. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Cindy added in the chat, is a bud being passive before it flowers in the spring? And seeing what you wrote, Cindy, I took that into my tapping as well. So thank you for that. There's a quality of success failure, like it either is working or it's not, or it's getting the results that I expected or not. And there's that also. I think the more core is the intelligence that's unfolding, the freedom, the flow, and sometimes those aren't as visible. You have to use, like, I loved as a kid time-lapse photography because it showed me something that always looked like very static, and that the unfolding of the change was actually really dramatic, but not like day to day, sometimes not even week to week. I saw a time lapse the other day of something that was over like 3 years. The change that happened in it was a fallen log, like what happened over that long a period of time. And so I'd like to, I'm wondering if you or Jean would do some tapping around the success or failure, because to me, like, doing it slowly says I'm allowing myself to go at a pace that isn't like make or break every time. That's what it means to me. Does that feel?
Jean, how would you feel about that?
Well, yeah, that's a big one for me right now because I went back and looked at my earnings for last year, thinking, what am I going to do for this year and
Mhm.
taxes and all of that. And I was very unhappy with what I saw, and I
Mhm.
felt like a failure. And I haven't come to terms with it yet. So I'm not sure if I can tap with it, but maybe.
Okay. And Maya, you unmuted as well. I'd love to hear what you'd like to add to the circle.
Yeah, for now, I'm just enjoying listening, but it resonates anyway. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Could I tap on how I feel about it and maybe somebody can echo, or somebody want
Yeah.
to tap with me on it?
Why
Or
don't we, if you want to do that, on how you feel, I'll echo and add some of my own. And we can either, if you're unmuted, you can leave it unmuted and speak out loud or just tap and breathe. If you'd like to be able to speak out loud your own thing at your own pace, you can go ahead and click mute. So Jean, you may be hearing a number of voices coming back like we're in a physical circle. And
that'll be
tapping.
interesting.
Yeah, we've not done that one.
I know. Okay.
All right, I'll be the directed echo for you, with you.
Okay. The side of the hand. Um, I looked at my earnings last year and it was like, what's the use?
I looked at my earnings last year and it was like, what's the use?
Yeah, I only made $500
I only made $500.
and I didn't work real hard to do it, but there's a lot of expenses that went into that.
There are a lot of expenses that went into that.
And I don't know what to do.
And I really don't know what to do.
I would like to hire a marketer,
I'd love to hire a marketer.
but it would probably take most of my earnings.
But that would probably take most of my earnings.
And that doesn't feel good.
And that does not feel good.
Top of the head. I really don't know what to do when I feel like a failure.
I do not know what to do when I feel like a failure.
Should I shut my website down?
Should I shut my website down?
I kind of like my website. I'm going to keep it
I'm going to keep it.
and maybe add some things to it.
And maybe add some things to it.
But I feel kind of like, what's the use?
I still have this what's the use feeling.
And it's not happy.
And it's not a happy feeling. I feel it in my gut. Where do you feel it?
I feel it in my gut. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my, oh, what the hell? Under the arm. I think I need to just let this sit a little bit and see what comes up.
I'm choosing to sit with it mindfully and see what arises.
Top of the head. I have some other things going on, so maybe I'll get some clues with that.
I have other things going on, so maybe I'll get some clues with that. It's interesting. I whether the number is 500. I did a session with someone whose number was 250,000 last year and had very much similar feelings coming up because the expenses for them ate up the vast majority of that.
Wow.
So it's interesting to hear and feel the range, like, and it helps me, like, what's success? What's failure? Is it a top line number? Is it a bottom line number? is it that we got to be in our artistry and our art in a way that allowed us for another year to be in it, so I don't know. And Cindy said I substituted my body for my finances, and it worked well. Thanks, Jean. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I kind of had a good time, not pushing, not sitting every day thinking, I gotta have clients. I've kind of like sat back and I've been doing a lot of other things and enjoying it a heck of a lot more than pushing. Of course, I'd like to have clients because I love to work with people.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm doing this year and more is trying to be here now, trying to get into more gratitude. Like, we have a dishwasher, but we don't use it. And I'm enjoying washing dishes, just feeling the warm water on and rubbing the sponge on the dishes and cooking more and enjoying what I'm cooking rather than getting out there and saying, I'm going to do this year. I'm more, maybe it's my age.
Well, we'd like to honor that with age can come wisdom. And, one of the wisdoms of the ages is presence, and that there's a process of presence. And whether you're 8 years old or 88 years old or 108 years old, to me, this is part of what we're exploring here is, okay, there's a lot of make it happen kind of energy that really sets me up for a fizzle. Mm-hmm. A sizzle and a fizzle, a should sizzle and a fizzle. It just, as I look at my life decade after decade, if there's a make it happen energy, but the opposite of, I can't let go of that something inside of me, as Simone was mentioning, that anchored feeling, like there's something core. And if I, like this morning's meditation was, if I allowed some things that I put time into, because time is life force and attention and presence, even if it's a distraction, even just shifted slowly a bit of that life force into making more invitations, my sense of the universe is that would give me more joy, more of, like, I like inviting, even if it's not met the same way that I would love to, that would give me that real big boost of celebration and fireworks. Like, you make an invitation and everyone says yes. Yeah, right. And so that's something that's alive for me, and that, like, this year for me is a more of a willingness and also a decisiveness in improving that quality of decisiveness that says, right here, right now, this is my decision. Letting go of some of the kind of passive, it's not stuck, but it's not necessarily like engaging with deeper, richer, heartier stuff. It's saying, my life is now, and I'd like to be engaged in a way. If I'm gonna, and it's not to make it perfect anymore, but it is, like you said, if you're washing dishes and that's your choice, there's a sensuality in washing dishes. If you're washing dishes fast because you hate them, that'll be a different life experience. If you're doing it quickly because you're about to read a book that you like, you can still be in that, oh, I'm activating my, ooh, I am really efficient after all this time. I know how to clean dishes, boy. Woohoo! Look at me. I got this fast and efficient. That, to me, is, all of those are tunings that are interesting.
Rick, I just had an awakening. I'm not a failure at all. I'm right here.
Exactly.
And you know what? The clients, if they come, fine. Whoever needs to hear what I've got to say will come. But I'm doing a lot of other things that are a lot more fun than worrying.
Yeah.
And being in your life as someone who is doing more fun things than worrying is a really sweet reminder that it isn't that, my mom is 78 and she spends an awful lot of time worrying. And when she's doing creative projects, there's still a lot of worry energy. And so it's great for me to be connected to someone who is washing dishes with gratitude and warmth and putting out funny things and interacting with people in a way that is more true to Jean.
Well, I'm 82, and I'm proud of it. And I love to do my laundry too, because it's right next to my kitchen. I don't have to go to the basement anymore. And life is getting sweeter that way. And I love what we're doing here.
Simone, are there things that you really you wanted to make sure that we bring into the circle for consideration?
Well, this wasn't within the topic when I thought of it beforehand, but it came up for me now when you were talking, that I feel drawn to different things. It's not like there's a multitude. It's not like, oh, there's this, I'm jumping from one interest to another. It's not like that. But I really love books and reading, and that's an important part of my life. And I like to be creative and do collages, and I want to finish my dissertation. And what I feel is that when we have an intention, it's hard when we focus on when our energy goes in too many different directions. And I have a family too, and a lot of my energy goes into the family, and that's also my number one priority. But what I feel is this is more like a question, like how can we allow ourselves to have our different interests, but at the same time actually guide our energy to be more focused?
Yeah. Thank you. That's one of the bigger questions for me as well. Like, if I look at my ecosystem, how do I bring that focus and action into a particular realm in a world which is can be very distracted, which naturally also appeals to my, like, as you said, oh, I've got this and this and this and this, and they're dear to me. And it's not like I'm just bouncing around in being pulled to look at things that I'm not even wanting to engage with very much. But that kind of, like, how do I switch gears? Like, one of the things that I need right now is a time container that says, for the next 20 minutes, this is my focus. I'm choosing to be focused with it for 20 minutes and having a little support. And that gives me the experience of dropping in. And for a doable segment of time, being with something that's important to me. And having a bit of the landscape of, these are the things that are important to me. As a business owner, I have to do certain things. Meaning a healthy ecosystem in business includes doing the accounting yesterday, making invitations, refining that which already exists in response to the feedback or lack of feedback that I get, and some creative expression. I'm calling it, arise, as a reminder that I'm wanting to allow my energy to arise and be with more of these things. And that applies in the personal realm too.
Yeah. Marie-Linda is asking if we could do a round of tapping on this one.
I muted you, Marilinda, because there was some background noise. That's the only reason.
No, because I love that, because I think people who are curious, there are so many things coming in. If you're curious and a perfectionist, those two things, you're fucked, basically.
Performing.
Because you could spend all day on your dissertation, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you could spend all day with your family, I'm sure. And you could spend all day, and it's like, it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I know that.
So
and I find when sometimes I'm doing one thing and then I'm doing the next, and at some point it's like you change ever more quickly from one to the other until it's like, ah!
Yeah, and I feel that there's really maybe a need to set priorities, but it's really hard because what I want to do can be more this floating, and at the same time I think just my energy needs to be a bit more directed, to be more focused.
Sounds like a great topic for another engagement as we come to the close of the hour. That, like, balancing the deeper extended focusing that certain projects really deserve because of their bigness, their importance to our life, and in a distracted world. Especially, and a world that's filled with abundance. These are multiple things that we want to do, and some things are, I know for me, some things are easier than others, and it makes me sort of want them biochemically. My body wants success, and so a part of what I'm seeking to do is get my body used to that feeling of going into the awkward, the uncomfortable, and being with it as something that has pleasure as well. That there's a pleasure in doing something meaningful that can't be completed in 20 minutes or 2 hours or 2 weeks. So yeah. Any final thoughts, Jean, Simone, anyone, as we bring this to a close?
I feel so much more grounded and relaxed, and I enjoyed this so much.
Yes, me too. It's been fabulous to see you all. My first time on Zoom, and it's really enjoyable and fun and so meaningful, and both this topic and all the other things we touched. Really looking forward to continue with it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Maya. And Beth, I love the fact that I unmuted you. At least I'm trying to. The color of your wall, Beth, is exactly the color of my living room.
And the color of your wall is the color of my lobby.
Okay.
Okay, I have to show you guys this. I don't know if you can see it. It's the same yellow, actually.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
We're all related.
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you,
being
Jean,
with us
Simone,
too.
and Rick, yes, and Mary Linda, and everyone on the call.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone who listens later.
Yep.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.